Next Legacy.
Are you looking for a tax professional who truly cares about you and your business? Well, let Danaya Azure Radio help you out. Danaya Azure Radio is now sponsored by Upscale Tax Professionals. Upscale Tax Professionals offers a comprehensive suite of financial services designed to help businesses develop and maintain effective financial processes and management. Their three-tiered approach allows them to tailor their services to the specific needs of your company. Whether you need assistance with tax planning and preparation, accounting and bookkeeping, or strategic financial consulting, their team of experts is here to help. With years of experience working with businesses of all sizes and industries, they have the knowledge and expertise to help your company thrive. Contact them today and schedule your appointment at www.upscaletexprofessionals.com. Learn more about how they can streamline your financial operations and maximize your bottom line. Tell them Danaya Azure Radio sent you.
Next Legacy.
Hi, this is Misunderstood, and you are now tuned in to Danaya Azure Radio.
Hello, Misunderstood. Welcome to Danaya Azure Radio. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm so glad to have you here. So Misunderstood is an amazing content creator on YouTube. She is always doing her thing. Such a beautiful energy. And I brought her on because she did something that I'm just so proud of her for. She is at how many days on sobriety?
Over 500 days now. Yes.
Exactly 500 days? Yo, that's...
Oh, actually, no. The exact day, let me go to my sobriety calendar. I think I'm at, the last I've checked, I was at 575.
Wow.
I use this app called I Am Sober. So, I'm at 578 days.
578 days, you guys, of being sober. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So how did you originally get into YouTube?
Wow. Actually, I used to do SEO stuff or search engine optimization stuff. And I was on other panels, like as a panelist. And eventually I needed a place to where I could tell my own story. And so I started my own platform because I would see other people kind of sharing their personal lives and later only to have their personal stories exploited or just, I wanted a place where we could speak from a place of understanding and stuff. So because of my struggles, I just wanted to create a space where I could speak about it. And that's how I developed my own platform.
So how long have you been a content creator now?
Ooh, I believe since 2019.
That's
2019, I started my own panel.
That's what's up. So you said originally you were doing working with people regarding SEO. So what exactly were you doing? Just like helping to build channels?
Helping to monetize well, not just the monetization, but titles, tags, descriptions, like to be more searchable on throughout social media, not just YouTube, but their social media presence, like Instagram and whatever it was that they were doing. Did like LinkedIn, Facebook, stuff like that. So mostly worked with that to help get their channels seen amongst all the others. So there's a few things that you need to do, and that's the only things I used to do. And plus I used to do editing for other people before I started my own platform.
That's definitely what's up. And phenomenal content creator. This is my guest here on Danaya Azure Radio. So what would you say has been some of your challenges when it comes to the platform?
Some of the challenges. Well, I had to some of the challenges. You never really know what's gonna happen with a live show. Okay. I mean, there's so many twists and turns, and I think that's why people like live shows. Some of the challenges was, I had to make sure I wasn't oversharing because, we have family, stuff like that. You have things you never really think about, doxing people or, take a picture, people look up where you live and stuff like that based off of a picture. And I think the biggest challenges was to make sure that even though I'm sharing my journey, was not to overshare.
You spoke about doxing. So For those who don't understand what exactly that is, can you kind of explain a little bit about what doxing is?
Yeah, doxing is short for documents, and in this sense, it means like sharing. So somebody exposes your personal information that can identify you. So that's what we consider doxing.
Absolutely. And so basically, it's not just information that can identify you, but basically it's people digging into your information that isn't public
That is a public,
and
exactly.
making it public
Hmm.
without your knowledge, typically.
Yep.
Um, definitely. So when it comes to your sobriety, explain like how your journey and what made you decide to get sober.
It took a while. There was a lot of ups and downs. Life just became unmanageable. I really didn't realize there was a problem until I tried to quit. There's been a lot of, when I started my platform, I started it on my day zero, which just means the wanting to get sober stage, okay? Or maybe not even wanting yet, just thinking about it. So I started from there because the other channels see like they had time under their belt and I wanted to do it from day zero. So there would be a lot of ups and downs, relapses. I never really thought that much about it. I thought, okay, this is normal. But once I had an audience and people are watching me, it's like, okay, I've got to do this. I need to be accountable. And things just start to fall apart. Relationships. I would just find myself in the weirdest situations. So I knew I needed to clean up my act. And then I started to have a few health issues. I had problems with my skin, which if you know anything about, I was addicted to methamphetamines, and it's really hard on your skin, and that was a problem for me. I mean, I can't explain how painful it was just to touch my skin and stuff like that, and just life just started falling apart.
And that I think is really important for people to understand is that when you're addicted to certain types of drugs, it can really affect your skin. It can affect your liver. It can affect your teeth, everything, right? I mean, you wouldn't even know that she got skin problems because her skin's so nice and smooth and beautiful
Thank
now,
you. Thank you.
So when it comes to your sobriety, what was that final straw that made you say, I have to completely stop? This is it. This is the last time.
It was, being online and constantly having CPS call on me, you know, that seems to be the latest thing, calling a government agency on someone. So that was definitely it. They had called CPS, and even though now at this time I was sober, okay, I've had some time under my belt. I was really proud of that. But I'm online and people are like, oh, she's high. They're always saying I'm high if I look a certain way, blah blah blah. CPS came, took the kids. It took me a while. I had to wait for the hair follicle test to come back. So the kids are back in the house, but that's the one thing that can get my kids gone. So that was the final, that was it for me, because that was such a close call. If I would not have been sober at that time, I wouldn't have my kids. So thank God I was, because that would have been an uphill battle. That would have just been hard to have to go through the process, because you grieve your kids when they're not there. I didn't realize, we hear about kids being taken all the time, but it's different when you see them removed from the house. And I'm like, this shouldn't be happening. And that happened over YouTube. So I knew that if I was going to make this kind of commentary and stuff like that, I really, really had to be sober. And I've been sober ever since.
Absolutely. And I have watched her sober journey, and it's just so amazing to see the transformation, and her energy has changed. And now you're teaching Pilates, right?
I take Pilates classes. I've taught ballroom for a while. So I went back to teaching ballroom, and I take the other stuff to supplement my ballroom. Mhm. I could teach Pilates, but right now, since I started school again, so now I'm mostly, I'll still teach ballroom and stuff like that, but I'm mostly trying to get through school so I could be a drug and alcohol counselor. And then I will go back to teaching other stuff in my spare time.
That's super awesome. And Madison, this is my guest here on Danaya Azure Radio. So when it comes to teaching ballroom, how did you originally get into that?
Well, actually, I started training in ballet, Chiquetti Style Ballet, and I was in a car accident where I rode my car over 1.5 times, and so I couldn't train in ballet anymore. I was taking it in college, and so looking for another form of dance style. I was actually looking to do salsa because I started taking these salsa classes. Because once I needed to dance, right? So when I went to take lessons, so I started taking salsa, and I'm like, no, I need more. So I went to a guy to coach me and teach me like competitive style salsa. And he was actually more of a ballroom teacher. So he introduced me like foxtrot, American waltz, Argentine tango, which is not really ballroom, but stuff like that. And so then I loved it because it was still hard on the body, but in a different way. So I switched over, and then that's how, after about 7 years, I started teaching ballroom.
What's up? Because ballroom is such a beautiful art forms. I can't wait to see your performances and all that fun stuff.
Yes.
And YouTube content creator, Mr. This is my guest here on Danaya Azure Radio. So if you had any advice to someone who was looking to get off meth, what would you tell them will be their first step?
Well, that's loaded. Number one, I would say just stop. 'Cause you're not gonna feel like it. Really, that's the bottom line. I would suggest, if you know anyone that's addicted to meth, getting them to a hospital. Sometimes they want to ask the person, "How much do you use?" Or you're never gonna know. They don't know. The mind is so impaired by that drug. It's more important to see the toxins and the things that was done to their body. So you want to get them into a facility. Can anybody that wants to stop meth, it's important to just stop using, because the more you use, your brain is being powerfully affected by the drug. So no matter what I told myself was this: no matter what I felt like, no matter what emotion I was going through, no matter what, not to pick it back up. Now, looking back, I definitely would have done it through rehab or facility just because of the support, but you could definitely stop on your own. By all means, I stopped on my own, but I really had to get connected to people. I had to be active. Thankfully, I never stopped dancing and stuff like that. So I was connected with other people. But you want to fill that in, get some exercise. If you're going to stop meth, you need to exercise, because the meth raises your dopamine levels. So you're going to have to do that naturally. So that's why it's important to exercise, even if it's just going out for a walk, to get your serotonin levels to start working on its own again. Those dopamine levels and neurotransmitters and all that.
Definitely. I think I like how you said, if you can, just stop. But if you're able to go to rehab, do that, because that's going to offer extra support.
Yeah, even if you could just do a 12-step program. No, I'm not into the dogma. I'm not into the 12-step thing, but I know that it works for a lot of people. And I have been to 12-step meetings, just not following the 12 steps all the way. For me, my life is busy, okay, and just not using. But you want to fill that in with something, because the depression is going to hit. It is. You're going to crash, and it's a nasty crash. We talk about that psychological withdrawal. Sometimes we think, oh, it's not heroin, you just stop. No, it's really hard, because nothing gives you pleasure anymore. You want to sleep a lot, and you crash. They call you crash. And so it's important, be somewhere. You're gonna have to get the rest, because your body's been up that speed, so we call it, everything's been sped up. So you can stay up for days on meth. So you gotta rest. You gotta make yourself eat, because a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves on the drug. Plenty of water, because you gotta wash those toxins out. Drink just water, and getting that rest. And then after you're done with the detox phase, I had to force myself to get up. When I tell you that was hard, like tired, you're so drained. Little by little, it started to get better. But no matter what, I told myself I wasn't going to pick up that drug again. And that's really the bottom line, is not using.
Absolutely. What has been so beautiful, watching your transformation and just watching how all of your energy changed, and watching how, you now, mind you, everyone has good days and bad days, and we've seen it, online. and you've been very honest about your journey. And I think that's what's going to help a lot of people is that you've been so honest about your journey, and we've literally seen you go through it on multiple occasions. So, um, when it comes to your support, how much has your galaxies helped you to stay sober?
Oh, hey, Galaxies. That's our little community. They are amazing. In my inbox, we don't care about the amount of people in our chats and stuff like that in our community. It's about honesty and just no judgment zone. And they have just been with me through some really hard times. And I could say that definitely played a part in my sobriety. So I'm very fortunate for the community where I thought I was giving back by, hey, you guys, I'm going to do this and you're going to be inspired by me. No, the people in my community has definitely given me just as much as I hope I've given them. And in some ways more because they accepted me throughout the relapses. We're angry sometimes and they've expressed that, but just being accountable, checking in with them and having to, that's why I try my best to always come up so you guys could see my eyes and see that I'm sober. But it's helped me a lot, just the interaction with you guys. So yeah, and you're a galaxy as well. Even though you're
Yes,
in a different sector, you are still a part of us, and you've been super supportive. And I want to thank you. You have always looked out for me, and it's just really happy to be here with you in your own house instead of my house.
absolutely. It is such a pleasure to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on for a minute. I know your schedule has been so crazy, but like I said, I'm incredibly proud of you. I actually had my dad actually had a really big accomplishment. He hit 1 year sober a couple of weeks
Yay!
ago, and I was at the presentation at AA, and it was beautiful to be able to see that. And I know the one thing that I told that group was that, I don't know what y'all did, but y'all got him sober because I've been
Awesome.
trying to do this since I was a child. And so whatever y'all did, it works. I said, whoever's here for the first time, I'm telling you right now, it works. Because if they can get him sober, they can get anyone sober.
Exactly.
But he actually has like a really beautiful AA community, and it was really dope to see them. They're so loving, and they're like wanting to hug people, and it was just really cool. Beautiful, great energy, good people. So I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of you for everything that you continue to accomplish.
Thank
We're
you.
at 14,000 subscribers now, right, Miss Sadie?
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Definitely, definitely. So when it comes to your content creation, like your editing, how did you get into editing?
I like to create stuff. Just I've always loved photography, and I like to. I love nature, and I like taking pictures. And so I just started watching videos, and then I didn't realize. And then I started to look at some of these videos. And I'm like, ooh, they need help. So I would message them and offer. I would. Or how I started was just editing videos and sending people samples of it. Like, hey, I can. And then they would just hire me to help them.
I love it. Yeah,
Hmm.
because she has some really fun videos.
Thank you.
We were talking about, her journey. She would actually that's a lot of her edited content is her sobriety journey. So
Hmm.
just really seeing the befores and the afters is just like, wow, she's a
Yeah.
completely different person.
Yeah. So I know the live streams can get a little crazy because there you're just talking to people about whatever you're just talking. But my uploads are more how I'm living life, what I'm going through. And I hope that people can see that I'm showing, even though I show videos of hiking, getting my hair done and stuff, that's all about recovery. Like, okay, now I got to figure out, okay, what am I doing with my hair? What am I wearing? I love nature. That's my healing space. So I make videos like that. So that's why I do uploads as well as live streams.
Yes. You know,
Hmm.
and that's funny you talk about your hair because that's always a controversy of like, well, what somebody's gonna have their hair or whatever. And I'm just like, if you're not paying for it, shut up.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because what people don't understand is that when you have your hair out, it takes hours
Hmm.
to keep it that way. Hours. That's why my hair
Yeah.
is in braids because my hair takes 3 to 4 hours to do.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that every day.
Yeah. It's a lot, and I do love wearing my hair out, but ever since I've been wearing it with braids, it's just gotten so healthy, and I just
Mhm,
I like the look.
exactly.
I like the look. Yeah.
And you look fabulous, so why not?
So do you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, what is the one thing that you want to accomplish in 2024 that you did not get to do in 2023?
Finish school. Finish school.
So, what are you going to school for?
I want to be a drug and alcohol counseling, but I'm also going to get like general, like finish up my, prayerfully. I do have college credits in psychology. I want to finish my degree in psychology as well. So even though I plan on being a drug and alcohol counselor, I definitely just want to finish up so that way I can relate to people. I want to finish up my degrees.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a veteran as well.
Yep, I was in the Navy. Mm-hmm.
So, what was one of the main things that you learned from being in the Navy?
Just how to be around other people, how to deal with it. My personality kind of fits the Navy well. I love that structure, that kind of structure. Okay, we're gonna do this at this time, but that just worked well for me. But I'm more of an introvert, so I had to learn how to work with other people and take authority and stuff like that. I was really spoiled as a kid, so I ain't like that kind of shit. But yeah, mostly that. It was a good experience overall.
Definitely. So, what is one piece of advice that you can give to a new content creator?
Know the audience you're trying to reach and just start before you're ready. So I gave it to. Mm-hmm.
I like that. Start before you're ready. Just, some people say, just hit the button, just hit live.
Hit live or do uploads. Figure out. There's some people that don't do live streams. They make videos. They do uploads. Some people do one or the other. And then if you're gonna do uploads, do you want to do shorts or do you want to do long form videos? So two different algorithm is the algorithm. YouTube, the YouTube shorts. It's just they're both different. So if you just start out, I would figure out which one do I want to do more. Do I want to make right now? Shorts are really popular because of TikTok. Now you got Instagram. The reels and stories and all of that. And then so I would master one or the other first, and then maybe later if you want to do both. Because it's just completely different. You do shorts, you gotta wow them from the beginning. You know what I mean? You gotta wow them, pack it in. So, but it's really popular. So I've been doing mostly shorts lately, but I also like my videos in 16:9. The shorts are 9:16, and so I do both. But that's because I've been editing for a long time.
Right? Yeah. Because if you're doing shorts, you definitely want to know how to edit. Because you have to make sure that you get that clip that's going to make a statement.
Yeah, things are always changing. You got to keep up with it. And by a long time, you guys, I just mean like years. But yeah, it's just different. If you do, if you're gonna do a video like YouTube, you want to do 16:9. If it's gonna be longer than 30 seconds or so, and that's fun as well. I like it. It's more details. I like telling a story, and sometimes in a short. In the short, you got to get to the point, get there, get out. But in your long format, that's good too. But you still want to make every moment count. You know what I mean? I always say, don't have the video, have it as long as it needs to be, but not any longer than that. Keep it. Still trying to make every moment work. But I love that creativity process. I just like it. I like telling a story.
Definitely. So when everything is said and done, what do you want your legacy to be?
I want to help break down some of the stigma surrounding substance abuse disorder. It's no different than any other condition. It's a chronic condition that can be treated. Regardless, even I'm not gonna argue is there a cure, is there not a cure, because then we have to get into different. I'm gonna stick with there's no cure. But there's treatment, because you always, like I could be sober for 20 years, but if I relapse, my addiction is going to be full blown again. So that's why. So I'm going to lean towards there's no cure. Okay. But it can be treated. I don't look at myself the same anymore. I'm like, wow, now life is normal, but it definitely needs to be treated. Even if that treatment is not using anymore, that's still a form of treatment. Okay. So I just want to be able to talk about things like that. Put a face behind you put a face behind something. Right now we say addiction, you just think of an addiction. You put a face behind that condition, then people start to see it as a human condition. And so many people struggle in silence because they're afraid of of being stigmatized. They're afraid of being judged. Nobody wants to be looked at as a junkie and all that. So, kind of teaching people how their language and the things that they say and the attitudes, how it affects people, and it stops them from getting help. Because I guarantee you got somebody struggling in your family or a neighbor because of how many people are addicted to a substance, whether it's prescription pills, street drugs. Is all an addiction, and people need to get treated. Insurance companies, it's important because with all the stigmatization, we should be able to go to a hospital and get treated, and for months, a few months, the same as any other condition. But because of all the insurance they're not paying out like they should. It's just so much more than just you and I. Addiction affects our communities, and without people getting treatment, there's not enough beds available and stuff like that, and there should be. Then we're all affected by it, whether it's our own addiction or not. Our communities are affected by it, and then and then look at the laws that's being made. Why do they? It's almost as if they want us to be numb, like as a distraction from everything else. And all of those things start with the conversation. But the most important thing is just to have compassion on somebody that's struggling with addiction, because they didn't just start struggling. Something happened along the way. Somewhere they got broken, and they're people. And something happens to you and you're self-medicating, your brain responded to this drug in a certain way and you became addicted, then that person should be able to get help and not be ashamed about it.
I agree 10,000%. I think the biggest thing that I would say is, especially when it comes to people that are addicted to, over-the-counter medication or prescription medication, there's no reason that same person that was addicted to something that's prescription shouldn't be able to go into a hospital and get treatment.
Exactly.
Because y'all caused the problem since you gave too much of the medication to the person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people become addicted because, like just like you said, off of prescription pills or something else, something, and then maybe they can afford those pills or something happens along the way. But and we all know trauma affects the brain and affects how we play. And a lot of there's a reason why a lot of people suffer from addiction that's been traumatized or that's been traumatized as a kid. It has to do with how our brain responds to stuff and how the dopamine levels are raised once our brain responds to stuff. So addiction is not just about willpower, it's so much more than that. And so it's just important to understand it, and that's why I need the education to understand it more.
Absolutely. It is so much more than just willpower. It is so much more than just the basic statistics or whatever. It's a global issue.
It is.
And I think we need to start treating it as a global issue and treating it as a medical issue.
I agree 100%. Yep.
Definitely, yeah. So if it's a non-violent drug offense, it needs to be rehab as opposed to jail.
I agree. Yep. Absolutely.
Most definitely. So what do you have coming up, Miss Lady? I know you got some live streams coming up here. I know we talked about doing variety content. So
yeah, I'm getting ready right now. I gotta get through the holidays. The holidays sometimes bum me out. I don't know, and I don't know why it does. I just get this depression. So I got to get through the holidays. I'll be in Wisconsin within the next few days, so I'm just gonna get ready for that trip and do some live streams there. Probably cooking stuff with my family or hanging out in Wisconsin. Just kind of fun stuff.
That should be fun. Awesome sauce.
Yeah, I never could do it if I was using and worry about getting high and stuff like that. I couldn't take this trip. So all those little, you got to celebrate the little things. Like, okay, I'm getting on a plane. I'm getting, just got to celebrate small stuff.
And that's so important to, I know at one point you were talking about like how you can live life because you can remember what happened when you go to these events. And so I know for the family that definitely is a joy for them to be able to see you in your true self, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
yes,
excited.
yes.
I'm excited. You have holiday plans?
I'm in Vegas, and we're going to be doing some work. Probably might do a little bit of cooking and whatnot. But yeah, so it's going to be fun.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Maybe 4 hours away from where I am.
Yes. So go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, and most importantly, book you.
Oh, well, my channel is misunderstood, just like that. Um, the URL is misunderstood as always, and you can stop by there, send me a message. I'm always available to talk or anything like that. I'm Nichole Uncensored on Instagram, Nichole Uncensored. Yeah, just like that. So yeah, stop by, check me out, and hopefully you'll like what you see.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. You are such an amazing person. I'm so incredibly proud of you once again.
Thank
And I look
you.
forward to seeing your amazing journey in year 2.
Yes, sobriety rocks. We just take it one day at a time. I thank you so much for having me. I you're such a joy to be around. And yes, we got this. Thank you for having me.
I'm going to take care. Peace and blessings. Bye.
Bye.